If you're required to speak in front of people and you have this fear that what if I forget my stuff? What if I lose my train of thoughts? What if the text stops working? What if somebody says something nasty? Then in this video, I'm going to share with you 6 secrets that you have to have down packed so that every presentation you walk out of, you'll be proud of yourself. So without any further ado, let's get started. My first tip for you to minimize any risk is always have backup of your slide or PowerPoint presentation. Why this is so important? Well, let me tell you a story. So I was presenting to a group of people and my presentation was on Canva. And as I was presenting, my daughter picked up my iPad at home and she started deleting my slides and she started drawing there because that was the first presentation which was on the iPad. She went on Canva and that was a mistake. So everyone in the audience is watching my slides disappearing and then little house and doll appearing on the slide. So I told everyone, looks like my daughter got the hang of my iPad. So what I did in that case is I pulled out my Google Drive and I had one copy saved there as well. So we started with presentation. Important lesson here is if something happens and that is unfortunate, if you don't make a big deal out of it, most people don't make big deal out of it. So if you are the one who's panicking, people can see that nervousness and that will affect their mood as well. My second tip for you to nail your presentation would be always test your equipment before the event starts. So sometimes we rely on equipment from the organizers. Maybe the clicker is not working, doesn't have battery. So it looks really unprofessional when you're trying to fix things out. So go 10-15 minutes before the event start, test your presentation, everything is working fine. If you see their equipment is not compatible, you should have your own iPad, your own clicker, you plug it in and you're ready to go. That way you'll not embarrass yourself in front of people when you're trying to fight with this tech and you look under stress. My third tip for you to have a powerful presentation, and this is the most important tip, mingle with people before you go for presentation. So arrive at the venue 10-15 minutes well in advance and then have a little chat with people. And what it does is it relieves your mind of the pressure. Most of the time what I see is people, they go at backstage, they are looking at their notes, they are rocking back and forth, the anxiety is building up, and when they come on stage and you can see they're really nervous. Rather, what you can do is instead of doing all those memorization, which probably you should have done well in advance, go talk to people. These are real people, and that will give you a little revelation that none of these people have come to judge you. They have a problem and they heard about your presentation and they are here because they feel you might provide them the solution. Rarely would be the case that, oh, I'm coming here to judge you. I'm going to see that if you make any mistake, they'll give me opportunity to laugh. If that was the case, they would probably be on social media looking at memes, not come to a presentation to listen to you. So this relieves your mind, and when you talk to people, you will realize that these people are genuinely interested. So when you get on stage, you have familiar faces. You can look at them, you talk to them, and that way your presentation will go much better. My fourth tip for you, if there is a technical difficulty, something happens that the projector is not working and they can't see the slide, the tech guys are working in the background. So what do you do in this time, right? So what you really can do is talk to your audience, give them to do something. For example, if you have Q&A in the end, ask them, hey, it looks like we have some technical difficulty happening right now. So what we can do is let's take some questions. So what do you have in mind? Ask me any question regarding this topic, and they will ask you a question. You can answer those questions. Or maybe if you have any activity during your presentation, you can do one of the activity, guys. So what I really want you to do is pull out your pen and papers. Let's do this quick exercise. I want you to draw this. So whatever is your activity, you can keep them engaged while the IT guys are fixing everything. And then finally, if it is fixed, give them a huge round of applause and acknowledge that these guys have been working hard and they finally saved the day. So let's get back to the agenda where we just left, and then you can take it from there. Tip number 5 is expect every situation and have something to say. Most people just practice their speeches, and if they forget, they have nothing else to say. They never thought about this. So what you really want to do is you want to imagine all the scenarios. What if I forget? What if I blank? What if I blank out? What if I lose my train of thoughts? What if the PowerPoint is not working? So what are the standard phrases that I can use? For example, if I know that I was talking about something and then I just blank out, I forgot something, right? So a little icebreaker you can use at that time is, has anyone listened to me talking before? By show of hands, okay? Do you guys know what I'm going to talk about next? Can anyone remind me? This usually gets laugh, and then you pick one person in the front. So, can you remind me where I was? And that person will tell you, yeah, you were talking about this. And then you just pick up from there and where you go. So there are scenarios you can think of. What are you going to say? Most people fluster and they look panicked because they haven't thought about it. So be ready for those situations. There are a couple of one or two liners. You can have standard response ready. So that gives you a little bit of confidence. And eventually then you have the situation in control. My sixth tip for you, don't rely on teleprompters and written notes. Why is that a problem? Well, when you have teleprompter in front of you, there are too many words. And if you lose the train of thoughts, then it goes all over the place. You look like absolute amateur. We cannot do two things at the same time, reading, thinking, and connecting with the people. It's really complicated to do. Unless you are in a studio where you are the news anchor, then it doesn't matter. You're just looking at the teleprompter and talking. But in a real life event where people are sitting in front of you, you have the teleprompter at the back of the room. Imagine if you get lost in the text, then everything goes for the toss. And what people do is they write really fancy and then they try to read it, trying to impress people. Worst strategy. What I would recommend is don't rely on teleprompter. Tell a bunch of stories. Stories are so easy to tell. And when you tell the story, then you make your point, more likely your audience is going to remember that. And that's going to give you maximum connection with your audience. Here's the thing, you might be relying on the notes. Even if you're very good at memorization, 30 to 40% of your brain is in the notes. So people can feel that this guy is mentally absent. He's going paragraph by paragraph in his mind over his notes, and he's not fully present in the moment. But if you are just telling a story, it could be your experience, it could be a story that you heard on the internet, your client story, story from Bible, doesn't matter as long as it is a story. You understand the narrative. Even if you forget one or two sentences, you can make it up. No big deal. And then you're back on track. So my massive encouragement would be lean into stories. And one easy way that I can give you to memorize the stories is make few symbols. So you can have the sticky note. Let's say there is a dog story, there is a Facebook story, there is a zoo story. So I can have symbol like dog, Facebook, zoo, and I can stick this on my water bottle. So once in a while, I take a sip of water when I'm presenting, and then I can quickly glance at these three symbols. So only you understand the meaning of these symbols. What story does it represent? And you don't have to write word by word, because the moment you start writing words, you have to disconnect from people and you will try to read these words, and that shows like this guy is looking at notes. But if you look at the pictures, they're easy. So for one story, only one picture. That's how it is going to work. Or if you don't want to carry the water bottle, have three sticky notes sticking on the floor. Nobody knows what does it mean. Three symbols, and where you go. That ways you have maximum connection with people, and don't get into complicated words. One common mistake is when you try to sound fancy, you connect with no one. Use everyday language so that people understand what is the intent behind it, what is the story, just the way you would talk to an Uber driver, just the way you would talk to your barista. That's the kind of language and simplicity you bring in your conversation. So I hope this is helpful. Try these techniques in your next presentation and let me know how you go.